Hello, my name is Kendall Van Pelt, and I'm the coordinator for Northeast Schools for IPL, and that's what today's session will be about, our innovative personalized learning firm. I have listed my email here at the bottom for any questions or concerns that come up that we have not discussed, but I want to be sure to not take up too much of your planning time because I know this is during the day and everybody has lots of things going on, but I want to make sure that I get my point out there, and we're hoping that we can be in your schools as soon as possible because I know that there's a high need for it and we are ready to go. So first and foremost, if you have any questions and concerns that you want me to answer today, please put them on our back wall and my colleague will be sure to answer them as I go through my presentation. So any questions, any concerns, my colleague will read them, she will answer them, and then at the end we can do sort of like a cakewalk and discuss the different questions that have come up. So the who are we? So we are a group of nationally board certified teachers. And our game in all of this at IPL is your success. We want you to be successful. We want your students to be successful. And we know that in order for you to be successful, you need the right tools. And so we are here to provide those for you. Think of us as almost like your educational broker. We will reach out to see what programs we can get for you and be sure to deliver them to you. We have 10 years of research so far. That's a lot, but it's not a lot. We have a lot of research still out there that we're still kind of tiptoeing into. We do a lot of observations, but we do have a lot of award-winning success stories that I would be more than happy to share with you. So our design model was created after years of research on the ever-changing student, on the ever-changing benchmarks, and just the evolving technology out there, all of the resources that are out there. We came together to create this system that would kind of put back together the broken pieces that were out there in our educational system, and then produce a more personalized learning and shine the light on you. So shine the light on these teachers that are doing everything they possibly can, but some of the pieces are missing, some of the dots aren't connected, and we are here to kind of create that path for you and build your success. So this is my Wordle for IPL. We took a survey to see the different kinds of words that come to mind when you think of IPL, and of course education was number one. Second thing, success. Third thing was leadership. And there's also some bigger ones in there like freedom and intelligence and being social and independence. But really it's all about being successful in education and having that leadership there for you. And some other things that came up along the way, we really focus on our students because it's all about our students really. You know, it's about teaching, and it's about hope and identity and fun, but also opportunities out there and the hard work that we put into it. So I wanted to share with you our Wordle. We love using Wordle. It's a great way to kind of exemplify the top things in education for us. So the what. So who are we, what do we do, and why? So first of all, the what. So our service will create a more personal and more flexible education for you and your students. Our goal is to prepare students for the new age of mastery grading. And that's something that's new. That's something that is in the future. It's coming to everybody, but we are on the forefront of it, and we really focus on mastery grading. And we also focus on our unpredictable future for these students who are about to become employees, who are about to become employers. So not only should we just encourage students to seek new and interesting things out there for them, but potential career opportunities out there for them. We as educators should open that new door and expose them to this new territory that they're not used to. And again, there's endless possibilities to what IPL can do for schools. We can do little and we can do a lot. Okay, so the why, basically we got together with different publishers out there, different educational companies, and we figured out what the biggest concern was, and that is their future business and how they are going to continue in this business. And that was by creating a more personal and flexible education for students and teachers. It's a transition from the more rote learning of products to a more self-directed and more about the student and more personal and into what the student is doing and how the student wants to learn. And another current trend is the shift again from the mastery grading from points and letter grades to more of the student kind of figuring out how to go about learning and finally mastering content and then moving on. So I love this image here because it showcases sometimes how schools and teachers think about their classroom. So we know there's roadblocks, we know there's disruption, we know there's disconnect everywhere, and there's redesigning going on throughout different schools. As educators, because I'm an educator, as educators, sometimes there's a disconnect between innovating and teaching. We know what we want to do, but we have to do this. And so there's a disconnect between the two. All the dots that are out there and on this image, they're not connected. They stay disconnected. And so the system fails. We have to reach out to our parents. We have to reach out to our students. We have to deliver a certain way. We have to teach these skills. We have to redesign our thinking, but we can't redesign our thinking because we spent all this money. Some myths about innovation and personalized learning is that it's too difficult or too time-consuming, or only a genius could do this. So instead of starting from scratch or losing teachers or losing your community support, I want you to think holistically about this whole thing. So we want you to use an educational firm like us and set yearly academic planning goals. So we would come to you and you would tell us exactly what you want done, and we would project for the future what could be done. So this image here is a great way to think about schools and the disconnect and how we can come in and put those dots together so that you have a plan of attack for the future. So this is our success formula. And I'll leave this up here so that you can read it as I go through it. I'm going to read it word for word. We will partner with you or your teachers to decipher through the data, determine the best course of action to achieve the goals for each student, and use our consulting firm with nationally board certified team of teachers to create your school's innovative, personalized learning plan. So at IPL, we would come in and we would assist where needed. So we would look at the data, we would determine the best course of action for the low achieving students, for the high achieving students, for the ones that are falling through the cracks. We would sit down with the teachers, we'd sit down with the students. We will fill in the areas that we are needed. Now that was a lot, so again, if you have any questions, concerns as I go through this, I'm halfway through. If you have anything that you need to write down really quickly, please place it back on our parking lot of questions, and my colleague will go through and answer those as quickly as possible. So along with us sitting down and going through the different data, and going through the different programs out there that we have, again, we're kind of like your educational broker. We've found the programs and we're going to showcase them to you. We also use different types of learning strategies or different types of models that are not so conventional. We have a stealth assessment. We also have analytics of emotions and computational learning. And with these 3 different types of models, these have been used throughout the educational system. This is not anything that we've created, but this is something new. It's almost like your virtual reality. Students get onto a game or a website or an assessment, and we see how they navigate through the assessment or the game. And we see how they rush through. We see how they have persevered past the different questions that are way too difficult for them. We see the different emotions that go through their typing and their clicking. And then at the end, we can see, okay, where did they struggle? What did they just kind of bypass? And what parts do we need to kind of kick out because this is way beyond them. So a stealth assessment in this computational learning and the analytics emotion really breaks down how the student is learning. And really, that's what we want to get into. We want to kind of open up and see how the students are learning, what they're learning, and what their roadblock is to being the best that they can be. So what you can expect from us. So we have a strong foundation of competency-based education. So we use technology to personalize a student's navigation of this to-be mastered content, meaning we have different programs that we can pull up, share with you all, so that you can use when students are being introduced to new content. We always advertise that we encourage a flipped classroom. A flipped classroom is where a teacher is taking a step back and the students are teaching the class. We also encourage students to work remotely. So whether that be on a website, whether that be on a Zoom, whether that be that they record themselves, they present, and they give the information. Everything's done on campus, but not everything is done in the classroom. And then we also use our innovative resources, which you probably have some of them that I have listed here. Your digital textbooks, your online resources. We've had those. But we also promote job share. We want our students to be out in the community learning hands-on techniques. We also want them to use project-based learning. That's a project that they use based on what they're learning. And then encourage them to use technical classes, to get involved with having a trade as well as a career. So what you can expect from us as well, providing examples to you of students seeking out their own entry point into new content. So it's a mouthful, but let me explain. Teachers have minimal instruction time because students are figuring out how they want to approach the new content that was given to them. So we have examples of this. We have examples of incorporating project-based learning throughout the different benchmarks in every single grade and every single subject. We've used research projects as a culminating activity, and we've also used projects just to kind of go through all the different benchmarks, and then as a whole, we present the research project as the culminating activity. So next steps, as you look through your pamphlets, and as you get together with your grade level team, your subject area meetings, I want you to determine the top 3 areas of improvement. So what resources are missing? What roadblocks do you need to overcome? So I'm going to quickly go over just an example of mine. As a reading teacher, I had a roadblock. I taught a reading class that was remedial. Students didn't have a buy-in. I had no access to a program that could assess my students, figure out what level they're on outside of the classroom. So students were only reading inside the classroom. So IPL came in. They figured out a program that the students could use on their phones. They could read on their phones. They could take a quiz on their phone. They could access it at home. They didn't have to be in school. And it was wonderful. Students also bought into it because it showed their progress as they went through. So that's just an example of something that IPO could come in and do for just one of the different roadblocks that you may have. So I understand that that was a lot, and it is a balancing act for everyone. The funds were taken care of, though. This is not something that you will have to come out of pocket. This is not something that your school will have to come out of pocket. This was done by your district, and it was taken care of by your state. The time is built in with your planning, and it's built in within your classroom. So as students are learning, IPLs will come in with a consultant that you've picked, that you work well with, and will come in during your class period as you're instructing to plan something and move on from there. It is not a total makeover, takeover unless you want it to be. We want to showcase your success. Our parking lot of questions have been answered. So if you'd like to take a walk or a cakewalk as something you could use in your classroom and review the questions, the concerns, and the answers that my colleague has put up there for you. Again, my name is Kendall Van Pelt. I'm the coordinator for the Northeast Schools for IPL, which is Innovative Personalized Learning Firm.